What's going on, it's Suk and I'm back with a brand new video on SuperDuprTech. And in today's video, I'll be bringing you my full and in-depth review of the M2 powered Mac Mini. Also, we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so if you are new around here, then I must ask you to hit the subscribe button, clicking the bell icon to be notified when any new video goes live. But without any further ado, let's hit the titles. So the first thing I want to get into talking about is of course the design of this Mac Mini. So the design remains unchanged compared to the M1 model, which, let's face it, other than the ports on the rear, hasn't changed since the 2011 redesign, which dropped the optical drive. It makes sense for Apple not to spend their time and money to update the design of something that most people are probably going to mount behind their monitors. But I think it's not a great look that other than the iMac, the desktop Macs haven't received their redesign since Apple started using their own silicon in their Macs. And whilst there are only so many ways that you can shape a metal box, I certainly would have liked it to get closer in shape and design to the size of the Apple TV. Imagine if there was a Mac Mini that was closer to the size of the Intel NUC or even the Raspberry Pi with the performance that it currently has. I honestly think it would be an incredible feat of engineering, so come on Apple, I'm sure you can do something like that. Talking about the ports, on this entry model you get less ports than what you would get on the higher spec models featuring the M2 Pro. On this entry model you get as standard a gigabit Ethernet port, which can be upgraded to supporting 10 gigabit speeds for faster networking. You also get two USB-C Thunderbolt 4 ports, which, as I'm sure you're probably aware, can be used for pretty much anything. There is also a single HDMI 2.0 port along with two USB-A ports for connecting legacy devices. And as the speakers on this Mac Mini are quite weak, there is also a 3.5mm jack for headphones and speakers. Talking about the speakers, take a listen and compare the speakers on this Mac Mini to those found in the 14-inch MacBook Pro and those also built into the Studio display. The M2 in this Mac Mini performs pretty much how we've seen the M2 perform in the other Mac models with this chip, which means it's great. Yes, you can do fairly more in the way of complex tasks when compared to the M1, so you can get away with editing videos and photos and even some light gaming. But across the board, compared to the M1, you get around 20% better performance, and compared to the older Intel models, it's night and day. So I've already uploaded a video in which I've tested this Mac Mini. I've ran a number of different compute tests, graphics tests, you name it, ranging from HTML tests to video editing to even some other graphical benchmarks. So if you want to check out that video, then be sure to click the card in the top right corner, or you can click the links in the description of this video. But as I say, this Mac Mini is still quite capable, and even if you throw some fairly complex tasks at it, it should still be able to handle them without an issue. But the only area in which I have a little bit of an issue with is the unified memory. I think 8GB of unified memory for a machine that's due to run, multiple years, especially considering it's a desktop, I think for 2023 at least, is not enough. And I would have preferred it to start with at least 12GB. And yes, whilst the argument for macOS being very efficient when it comes to managing its memory and resources can be made, I personally think for a desktop machine in 2023 that's more than likely going to last between 6 to 8 years, I think 8GB is probably a bit too less. Here's to hoping that the M3 comes with 12GB as standard. Also, for those that are interested in running a number of different games on this Mac Mini, I've already uploaded a video in which I ran several games on this machine, and to put it short, for some games, and I mean literally a handful of games, you potentially could get away with playing them on this machine at around 1080p with medium to high settings. But for the vast majority, I mean, even if you're able to get the games to run, you probably don't want to bother and maybe want to be drawn towards other options. But as I say, I've already uploaded that video on the channel, and you can click the card in the top right corner or click the links in the bottom of this description to go and check out that video. And whilst the M2 found within the MacBook Airs can only support one additional external display, with the Mac Mini not having a built-in display, you're able to run 2 on this system. But be careful, as I mentioned, the entry model has a HDMI 2.0 port, so you are going to be limited in the frame rates department on this model, at least compared to the M2 Pro, which comes with a HDMI 2.1 port, which is able to support 4K resolutions up to 240Hz or 8K up to a staggering 60Hz. Once again, this is coming from a little desktop machine. It's quite impressive. But in general, when it comes to connectivity, I've not really had any issues with this Mac Mini. Whether that be for my Bluetooth accessories, so the keyboard, mouse, trackpad, AirPods, even my other speakers that I have connected to my Mac Mini, I've not had no issue when it comes to it. And the same goes for Wi-Fi. I've not had no issues when it comes to AirDrop, handoff, anything. So I think you'll be pretty safe with this one. Now, when it comes to macOS across the board, whether I've been using it on this Mac Mini or my other devices, I've not really had much in the way of issues or anything that's alarming that I need to scream and shout about. And to be brutally honest with you, from a value proposition, I think this Mac Mini is very good. I mean, it's frequently on sale on Amazon, and let's be real, if you've already got a keyboard, a mouse and a screen lying around in your house, which a lot of people do, whether it's under their bed or in a closet somewhere, you tend to have one of these, spare ones, or you might have one from a friend or family. But let's be real, you can pick up a monitor for less than £100, and a keyboard and mouse, you can pick them up in a bundle for less than £20. So realistically, you can have a complete system for less than £800, which when it comes to Apple, or especially this kind of power that this machine is producing, is pretty much unheard of. So that's pretty much it. It's a great Mac. Honestly, I would give it around 6 to 7 out of 10. It's only because literally it is just a block. There's not really much that I can say about it. It's built well for a block. It's got enough ports and a good amount of connectivity for your average person. And if you are using this machine to browse the web, do some document work, some online banking, do a bit of video editing, maybe a bit of photo work here and there with your holiday photos, a bit of video editing, and even play a handful of games, especially if you've got some children, then yeah, realistically, for an all-around machine, this Mac Mini is very good. When the M3 version of the Mac Mini indeed gets released, then expect videos comparing this Mac Mini to that particular model. And I'll also be getting the M2 Pro version of this Mac Mini in very soon, so expect videos comparing the performance difference between these machines. So that'll be it for today's video. Of course, if you are new around here, then be sure to subscribe clicking the bell icon to be notified of when a new video goes live. As I mentioned earlier, we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and it'll be good to have you around for the journey. If you've liked the video, then like the video. If you've got any comments, then leave them down below in the comment section, or alternatively, you can hit me up on my social media, links to which can be found down below in this video's description. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care and have a good one.